Yo, so first and foremost, I want to say it's really sad thought to think that any child in the world goes hungry anywhere just because, well, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? But the government's just paid out £450 million to help, hungry children throughout the next sort of month or so. Um, it's a tough one. Apart from children in their care, I'm not really sure if it's the government's responsibility to. The scheme was set up by Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford obviously is a Premier League footballer who's on a basic wage of, I think, of around £150,000 a week, anywhere between 100,000 and £150,000 a week. I was just like crunching some numbers, and I've got a couple, and so the wages of Manchester United for the 2019-2020 season last season was 332 million. Bearing in mind the government has just given 450 million. The combined wages of Liverpool was 264 million. Man City was 260 million. Chelsea was 244 million. This is outgoing wages to these players as individuals. Arsenal was 223 million. Spurs was 148 million, coming in to sort of round off the top six there. That combined altogether makes 1.4 billion people. Now, the government borrowing 450 million people will impact the poorest people in society. Like the single mothers who work two jobs, they'll get higher tax on both of those jobs. They need both of those jobs to feed the two kids, the reason why they have those two jobs. Is this starting to make sense to you? So the more you tax the poor, the more people you're going to need back on those systems that have been made. Now, would it have been too much hassle for Marcus Rashford to push the Premier League and not the government? And said, look, can you make something written in all of our contracts where a small percentage of that, 1.4 billion per year and rising, it never goes down, Premier League wages, always goes up. 1.4 billion per year actually goes to help starving children instead of leading the likes of myself. I'm on minimum wage, the likes of yourselves, people out there who are working 40 hours a week on minimum wage or working two jobs a week on low wage to get taxed at 60%. Now, the government throughout this COVID-19 thing has already borrowed £210 billion. Now, we're paying that back, so our taxes are going to go up. No matter what goes down, it's going to go up. So adding more cost to it for something that isn't a responsibility and that could be fixed at the level it's being protested at is fucked. It's stupid, isn't it? So at the moment, the country's national debt is at the highest it's ever been at £2.2 trillion. £2.2 trillion. It wasn't two, but obviously we've had to borrow and borrow and borrow. Because all we can do is save people at the minute. So it'd be really nice if the government didn't have to pay 450 million for starving children. Nobody wants starving children in the world. Nobody whatsoever. But those motherfuckers playing Premier League football can do it if they all chipped in. Easy. Fucking easy. I've just read the numbers. They all earned combined, before tax, granted, £1.4 billion last year. And they're out there protesting the government to add it to our taxes, to add it to poor people's taxes in the long term. This is the opposite, isn't it? This is the opposite of socialism. We're supposed to be taking that money off of Marcus Rashford and putting it into social projects and not the government. Like, this is a backwards idea of what socialism is supposed to be already. It's fucking mental. I don't get it. So, just to crunch some numbers again, the government lent £450 billion to help starving children. Fair enough, let's hope there are no starving children. The Premier League total combined wages was 1.4 billion last year and rising. Our taxes are probably going to go up to around 65. Anywhere between 65 and 80% would be my guess. I'm not an economist. That is literally just reading a few numbers and trying to take the mean of all of those, take the average of all of those numbers. We can't have it all. Literally, NHS saving every motherfucker who's hungry, housing every cunt who comes here, helping people who are fleeing France, war zones. France isn't a war zone, kind of is a war zone, but it's not at war. We cannot do it all. And it's backwards that nobody has pressed Marcus Rashford and his Premier League buddies for this money. And the cost will filter down to you, me, and everybody else who's fucking earning minimum wage. It's just the fact of the matter. So, good cause, but fuck you, Marcus Rashford, because you and your buddies all playing football can afford that money combined. Easy. Easy.